All right, welcome to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse, and today is October 6th, 2021. And just a reminder, hey, listen, do me a favor, hit the share button right now on your Facebook thing. Hit the share button, let everybody know that you're watching it, and they can see that you're watching it and how cool this show is. Of course, hit that like button, let me know that you really like the show. And you can comment live during the show on either Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, or, of course, Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel and like the Money Chat Now page on Facebook. Money Chat Now is brought to you by Investor Schooling. You can attend a complimentary class this Thursday by going to investorschooling.com. You will learn about real estate investing, stock options investing, and you will learn it from those who do it every day. All right, on today's show, we're going to be talking about the market update. Whoa, what a beautiful whipsaw. We're going to be talking about the debt ceiling threats from the politicians. We're going to be talking about how airlines have been downgraded. Crypto, woo! And of course, Facebook's in the news again, because why not? Wouldn't it be? And then again, we'll talk about more student loan forgiveness lies. What a beautiful whipsaw today in the market, man. Wow, it was awesome. The Dow plummeted about 300 points, and then it shot back to end at 102. I mean, that's awesome. You know, it was pretty wild, just to see the market go like that. Plus, the S&P finished about 18 points and the NASDAQ about 68 points up. This is just a great day. And that's nice. It's nice to see that when it happens. All right. Let's talk a little bit about some debt ceiling threats. We heard yesterday in the news that Janet Yellen was screaming up and down that the debt ceiling bill must be passed to avoid insolvency and a possible recession. Whatever. Today we're hearing from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin with a warning that he won't be able to ensure troops receive their pay on time if Congress fails to raise the U.S. debt limit. Basically, what's going to happen is benefits owed to 2.4 million military retirees and 400,000 survivors would also be put at risk, he added. Austin's remarks came minutes after 6 former defense secretaries sent a letter to Congress urging them to raise or suspend the debt ceiling limit. It's important to know that raising or suspending the debt ceiling limit does not authorize new spending, but rather allows the Treasury Department to continue to pay off receipts for appropriation bills Congress has already passed. So if they've already said that they're going to spend this money, then they now have to spend this money, and the debt ceiling basically lets them spend the money that they already said they were going to spend. The federal government has obligated funds for federal contractors who operate our military bases at home and abroad and provide service to crucial defense technologies, a former secretary wrote. We should not ask all our volunteer military to serve our nation without pay. If we do that, we will not have a highly capable military to fight and win the nation's wars. These guys they're just extremists when they talk like that. It's like, who cares? I mean, seriously? I mean, I agree, yes, we should pay our military. We should pay the widows. All of this should be done. But please don't tell me that these guys are going to say, hey, you know what? I'm here in the desert, and I'm going to walk off the desert and fly home right now because you didn't pay me this week. It's just not reality, but okay, it's not right. It's just not reality. Anyway, this clearly needs to be passed, and it clearly will be passed, but the pain of not knowing is something as a nation we need to go through. This is basically it's scaring the average money manager and investor because the default could be devastating to the economy. The good news today was that Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell offered a short-term suspension of the U.S. debt ceiling to avert a national default as an economic crisis until Democrats are able to pass a more permanent solution before the end of the year. So I love it. The Democrats are like, yesterday or the last couple of days, all the politicians are saying it's the Republicans are holding back and it's their fault that we can't do this. And the Republicans are saying, hey, if the Democrats just did their job, they'd get it passed. So here you go, Mitch McConnell to the rescue. We'll offer a short-term suspension, and here you go. That makes politicians just amaze me. I don't care what you are, Democrat or Republican. You just got to watch these people play off each other. It's unbelievable. All right. To protect the American people from a near-Democrat-created crisis, we will also allow Democrats to use normal procedures to pass an emergency debt limit extension at a fixed dollar amount to cover current spending levels into December, Mitch McConnell said in a statement as he posted to Twitter. All right, look, just do it already. Just pass the stupid debt ceiling and stop the BS. All right, let's talk about airline downgrades. Today, Goldman Sachs downgraded airline stocks, including AAL and JetBlue. All right, a slowdown in the travel industry's recovery and higher fuel prices could weigh on airline stocks, including American Airlines, according to the analysts at Goldman Sachs. You know, I just love the way they put this, right? A slowdown in the airline travels industry recovery and higher fuel prices could weigh down on airline stocks. So basically they're saying, hey, it could possibly happen. So let's knock down some airline stocks today so we can buy them up higher. Anyway, the analysts lowered near-term outlook for the industry, saying the slowdown for air travel in the late summer due to the Democrat variant and higher fuel prices could lead to a weak winter for airlines. The analysts also cited later than expected recoveries for corporate and international travel. So you got to remember that international travel was slowed down a little bit because there was basically a moratorium on travel. They said they couldn't travel outside, and Biden said he's going to lift that come next month anyway. So I don't really think that's true. But look, Goldman lowered its price target for American Airlines by $1 a share to $18 a share, and the new target is now 16% lower than the stock closed yesterday. So that's kind of weird because, you know, the stock was hovering in the 2021 range, and they're saying that they lowered their price to 18. I actually have to totally disagree with everything in this opinion. I actually think the airline stocks are going to take off. And the good part is the stock is going to be beaten up over the next few days, and that's going to be an awesome buying opportunity. Let's talk real quick about crypto. All right, Bitcoin rebounded back above 55,000 Wednesday, and analysts believe a base may be building for a sustainable rally from here. More investors are becoming long-term holders of Bitcoin, with fewer running for the exits after the latest pullback data shows. Apparently, long-term holders of Bitcoin are now at an all-time high and account for more than 80% of the cryptocurrency's circulating supply, according to a crypto data and analytics firm. Big companies with cash reserves are buying the coins to use as a hedge fund for future volatility of bonds, gold, and other normally safe havens for cash. Crypto is killing the precious metal market as more and more money managers move their money to crypto. Apparently, look, it's here to stay, and maybe you should put some part of your portfolio into crypto. I got to be honest with you, I started to dabble a little bit in this, and it's from my Shiba Inu that I mentioned 2 weeks ago. I told you guys to buy this. It's up over 200% since I entered it. Don't forget, if it actually hits a penny, and right now it's at about 20 millionth of a cent, if it hits a penny, my shares will be worth $2.7 million, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's take a quick break, and we will come back and talk about the next topic.
Okay, so you've thought about investing in real estate, houses, apartment buildings, properties, but don't really know where to start? Well, what if you could very easily learn how to gain strategies to use other people's money to buy and sell houses in the Philadelphia area? If you could learn and network with successful area real estate investors and how to produce monthly income on rental properties without headaches, that place is Investor Schooling. With Investor Schooling, you'll learn from 2 Philadelphia area rockstar real estate investors, Phil Falcone and Larry Steinhouse, about how to buy and sell properties the easy way and teach you basic and advanced techniques to help you make money in real estate. You can attend Investor Schooling in person or online visual classes 8 times a month. You can and will learn how to make money in real estate. Call for free information and get a complimentary pass to one of these classes. But don't delay, as these complimentary passes are limited. Call the number on your screen now or visit investorschooling.com. investorschooling.com.
All right, welcome back to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse, and so far we've been talking about this market up. The market took off today. It was fantastic. It started down 300 points, ended up over 200. Ended up 100 points. It came back from the 350 point down, and it ended up over 100 points, which is fantastic. The S&P closed at almost 18, and the Nasdaq at 68. We also talked about the debt ceiling threats from the politicians and how Mitch McConnell is now the hero. Come on, really? We talked about airlines being downgraded and the fact that crypto might actually be here to stay. All right, I know crypto's here to stay, but really about crypto might actually work out pretty well. So coming up, we have a little bit of Facebook news, and we also have more student loan forgiveness lies by the Supreme Leader, Biden. All right, let's talk about Facebook news and what's going on. So you must realize the last couple of days that heads are rolling at Facebook as the whistleblower Frances Haugen testified the other day on Facebook's bad business practices. Actually, you want to know the truth? I think they were good business practices, but they weren't so great for the users, according to Hagen. She quoted how Facebook was not doing a good job curtailing illegal activities on the platform and how they were now targeting kids as their next audience. Frankly, I found nothing really disturbing about Facebook's ideas. I mostly find it disturbing that they blocked the greatest president this country ever had, but allow pornographers and human traffickers to exist on their platform. That's the biggest problem I have, but nobody's ever going to talk about that. Either way, Facebook has decided to slow down their efforts to release new and questionable, or at least what they call questionable apps, for their platform. Zuckerberg wrote Tuesday in a Facebook post, "We're committed to doing more research ourselves and making more research publicly available." Now, I don't know if you got this release, because I got the release. I saw it. I mean, I just happened to see it on my Facebook feed. And when I saw it on my Facebook feed, he basically released a memo, and he put it out in a post on Facebook. He was apologizing and saying that he didn't feel that it was true and blah, blah, blah. But it was pretty good. I actually read it, and frankly, I didn't think he was a lying. If I personally didn't think he was a lying sack of crap and a promoter of the Democrat and socialist agenda, I probably would have thought it was a great publicity piece. Then again, when you're a $1 trillion company, you probably have great writers writing the fluffy retorts needed in this case. As far as Facebook stock goes, today was the second buying opportunity, and I believe it's all uphill from here until earnings. The Wall Street Journal did a great job on making great reading materials, in other words, to sell a paper, but they managed to put the stock down for their friends to buy it cheap, and you and I will benefit from this. I'm telling you, this is probably a last chance to get this thing at below 340. Let's talk about the student loan forgiveness lies. One of the biggest lies the Supreme Leader Biden promised was student loan forgiveness. As this lie unravels, Biden keeps making small gestures to make it look like he's fulfilling this promise. Last month, I reported that his administration was going to forgive the student loans of about 500,000 people who, guess what, are permanently disabled. That's right, if you had an injury or illness that made it impossible to work or pay your student loan, because you probably weren't going to pay it anyway if you were disabled or permanently disabled, right, it would be forgiven. How generous. All hail the Supreme Leader. Now he's actually helping another group. Check this out. To qualify for loan forgiveness, a borrower must work in a public sector job and have made 120 on-time payments towards repaying the debt. Okay, there's a whole lot of problems with this. 120 on-time payments toward repaying the debt. First of all, if you were stupid enough to take a student loan and drag it out for 10 years or more, and already paid back double what you borrowed, and now if you promise to help the Democrats, your loan might be forgiven if you didn't accidentally miss one payment or have one payment not on time in 10 years. Wow, he is so generous. I'm so happy that these children and these kids are going to get their student loan forgiven by this little beep. Of course, the program is only available to borrowers who have specific types of student loans known as direct loans. These loans are from the federal government. So if you borrowed money from anyone but the federal government, you're still on the hook even if you bow down to Biden and Pelosi. Lessons here: politicians, especially Democrats, are lying sacks of manure and never get a student loan. All right. Gas prices are on the rise again. They've been steadily climbing higher this year, and Americans are now paying the most at the pump in 7 years. What was in between that 7 years? Oh, yeah, there was this guy who was president who made the gas prices go down. The national average price for a gallon of gas stood at $3.22 on Wednesday, according to AAA, which is the highest price at least October 2014, and in some places consumers are paying much more. In California, they deserve it. The average price is more than $1 higher at $4.42, and in some parts of the county or some parts of the state, prices are over $5. This is for regular gas. Rising gas prices comes on the heels of an oil rebound. West Texas Intermediate crude futures, the U.S. oil benchmark, traded around $77.60 a barrel on Wednesday after topping 79 in the prior session for the first time since November 2014. 1 year ago, a barrel of crude fetched about $40. I remember that. I also remember one time where the futures actually went negative because it was so bad. It was amazing. All right. So, of course, as you know, the energy and oil stocks will continue to rally, but I'd like to see some weakness before jumping in. Oxy is something I've been following. If it goes if it goes right around 2025, 26, I definitely would be a buyer. Let's take a quick break and we'll talk about what's going to happen next. Investor schooling needs a new slogan.
Investor schooling? Never heard of.
Investor schooling?
Never heard of them.
Investor schooling? Never heard of them.
Any suggestions? Phil?
Investor schooling. We never heard of you either.
Investor Schooling. We never heard of you either. Register for a free class at investorschooling.com.
Investor schooling? Those guys are everywhere.
Investor schooling? Those guys are everywhere.
Investor schooling?
Those guys are everywhere.
Investor Schooling. Those guys are everywhere. Register for a free class at investorschooling.com.
Welcome back to Money Chat Now. I am your host, Larry Steinhouse. And I was watching that commercial, and I made that commercial a year ago. I realized it was a really bad commercial, but I made a commercial a year ago, and I think I had a lot more hair last year in that commercial. That's really starting to scare me. All right. So far, we've been discussing the fact that the market's up about 100 points after dropping today about 300 points. We talked about the fact that the airlines are being downgraded. We talked about Facebook. We talked about the student forgiveness lies. And real quick, I want to bring up, we got two guys, a couple of people who left some comments. And Ian says, I don't think the market cared about the debt ceiling. I think it's waiting for Evergrande or a bigger picture with China that hasn't fully dropped yet. You know what? I agree and disagree. I mean, certainly China's going to be a problem, especially with Evergrande. Evergrande is a nightmare over there. But Evergrande is a little bit different than the situation with Lehman Brothers, which is what everybody's talking about, how Lehman Brothers, started the crash of 2008 by going bankrupt. But I think Evergrande probably won't go bankrupt. I think it's going to be a very small company after a while. But also, it's attached to some real estate. So the real estate is worth something where those derivatives were worth nothing. I also believe that it is the beginning of a possible bear market. I don't know if it's going to happen. When I say the beginning, I think that we're going to see full bear probably in the springtime. But we're definitely starting to move towards that bear market, and we're going to get a couple of pops. And if you're smart, you'll take advantage of those pops. And of course, today was a nice whipsaw. I even predicted it this morning on Facebook. I thought about it. I said, hey, this is going to happen. It's going to be a whipsaw day. And if you look back on my post, first thing in the morning, I said it's going to be a whipsaw day. And there you go. Speaking of Facebook, by the way, I'm a buyer, and I said this before, I'm a buyer at these levels. And if you see any weakness in the next few days, and you might jump all over it. To me, this is an easy earnings play. I would even think that the guidance that will come from Zuckerberg will be strong as the Wall Street Journal's Facebook Files series ends. I also think Apple is a play into earnings. I think Pinterest is a play, and I think Uber is also going to be a play. Now, look, we talked about the fact that Goldman beat up the airline stocks. I disagree. I think the airline stocks are going to be a great play, and I think Goldman just gave us a nice opportunity to buy some of them. As a matter of fact, I'm going to look tomorrow. I'm kind of hoping that tomorrow we're going to get a little bit of drop in AAL, and I'm going to actually buy the stock and sell the covered calls because I think that's going to be an awesome play. Again, Robinhood and Coinbase are also going to move higher. And look, sure enough, Coinbase moved up today. I don't know how much it moved up, but it moved up pretty well. And crypto is moving up higher. And look, we talked about this before. I talked about a couple of great plays, including Shiba. And by the way, Mike is asking where he could buy Shiba. So Coinbase, if you don't have a Coinbase account, get a Coinbase account. And you can get Shiba Inu in Coinbase. It's riding right around 23 millionth of a cent right now. And if it goes to 1 penny, you're going to be really, really happy. All right. So keep watching Money Chat now. Don't forget to hit the share button. Don't forget to hit the like button. And don't forget to tell all your friends about it. We'll see you tomorrow, of course, at 4:03.